Here's the morning setup. Chop saw station on the deck. Ocean right down the road, about 10 houses down. Going in here, I've got some material, some plywood. I've got a few other things staged. And we're gonna have some bunk beds in here. It's a small bedroom. It's only 10 by 10. The electrician started yesterday. We're going to have a switch with a receptacle and a light fixture for each bed. Some low voltage lighting down there, LED. And I'm going to get started. The horizontal laser height here is the top of the frame upon which the mattress will sit. And then I have some tape up here, and this hasn't been finalized, but the bottom of that frame, and that frame's not going to be very big, but then the top of the mattress here with the switch and receptacle. So just getting started. Got a lot of things moved in yesterday as the electrician started. They're going to come at some point today. The only reason I'm not doing anything yet is because it's not quite 8 o'clock, and I don't like firing up any noise anywhere until after 8 o'clock. Neighbors appreciate that. They already have a television, they have a few things moved in. But anyway, it's a nice little beach cabin. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There's a small laundry here. And open living room to kitchen area. I'm not going to show too much of their home. But today is our first big day to get started. Not a bad place to be with the miter saw station. Here we are. Electrician's finished. So I carried on a bit. And I want to bring the camera in a second and show you the details of these posts here and how I got to this. And this is the main detail of everything. It's positioning how high the mattress is going to be off the ground. In this case, the mattress, I'm planning on 24 inches off the ground. A normal seat, a kitchen seat, is 18 inches. A bed can be 24 to 27, but it's a bunk bed, so you don't want it to be high like your master bedroom. You want it a little bit lower, but not too low, and it's not too low. So it starts at 24, and you sink down to 20. You're not going to sink down more than 18, so it's going to be a comfortable sitting bed. And when you sit in it, there's going to be some headroom still. So once you determine that, you have from the top of mattress to the ceiling, you have a measurement. Let's call it 7 feet. Let's just call it 7 feet, 84 inches. And then you know what your frame is going to be. With 3.5, I'm putting 1/2 inch plywood on here. I'm putting 1/4 inch plywood on here. And I'm going to have a little buildup of an outside kind of wall where the mattress sits inside that wall. So I know from here to the top of the mattress is another number, and it's like 14. So if we have 84 minus this 14, that leaves you with 70. And that actually is pretty close to the number I had. So you take that 70 is open space and open space. So you divide that number in half, then you have 35. So I have top of mattress, I go 35, and that dictates the bottom of here. I'm subtracting for the 1/4 inch, but we don't need to be that, we don't need to split hairs like that. So that above this mattress, you're also going to have 35, so that there's equal spacing. You don't want 48 inches of space and then way too little amount of space up top. You want it to be proportionate. You want it to be equal. Everybody's equal. So that's how I determine this height and this height. And if it was a taller ceiling, I would look at things differently. I could certainly go with, there's probably, I haven't done enough bunk beds to know, but there's probably like a standard of minimum space or something like that, but there sure wouldn't be any issue going larger. This is I think it's a 9 foot ceiling. If it was 10 foot ceilings, I'd have another 12, 6 inches or so of headroom in each space. So anyway, with that said, I laid out my outside band, and then I had the laser set up earlier. I raised on the tripod, I raised the laser up to that band, and I brought my posts in and I marked the posts at the top of the band on both of these. And then I lowered the laser to the top of that and I marked those in case the floor's out of whack at all, in case anything's off. We know that I put the posts where they're going to be and lasered them to that point. So, and when I put the level on everything, everything is right on level. And even after I got everything done here, I might even zoom in on that for you. I don't even have to look at it. I know it's on the money from one bed to another. So, and from one bed to another, you'll see that too. So everything looks the way it's supposed to look as you walk into the room. Um, I found a typical standard measurements for all beds, and I kept a picture of it in my phone for the mattresses themselves. And I'd like to add 1.5 inches of open space inside the area where the mattress is going to drop in. That gives a little bit of wiggle room and a little room to tuck in the comforter, and the sheets and what have you. I'm going to bring the camera around. These things, I bought some 3 inches wide by 9 inches Spanish pine beams. A guy was selling them, and I had an idea of a project, and I never got around to that project. But coming to this, I thought, well, they'll be perfect. I just need to mill them down. And I did. And I ran them through the planer. So I ended up milling them to 2.5 inches. And I think that's not overwhelming. I think a 4x4 is too big here. I think this looks like furniture. And then let me show you. So as I come in here, let me go on the inside. I might have hidden everything. You see how it was notched out. I notched out of this post, I notched out 1.5 inches so that this band sits completely on that notch. So it's completely supported 1.5 inches. And same thing down here. Pretty decent notch if you ask me. And then this rail here, I've got what you call pocket hole screws. And pocket hole screws up top. So, and then because I knew everything was going to be covered up, I went ahead and I put a 3/16 round over on everything. I did it on the very top. I also did it on the very bottom. I think it's going to look better than just a square piece going down. It's going to look more like furniture. And these are all still going to be wrapped and capped and things like that. And I'm still going to put my joists in here. I was cutting those, and I thought, let me take a little video before I bury everything. That's about it, though. It's going to be a nice finished product. And so I'm going to go cut my joists and then get my joists nailed into place. And then when I put the 1/2 inch plywood on top, I'm using the adhesive. So on everything, so there's no squeaking or anything like that. These are going to be rock solid. There's also going to be 2 drawers here and 2 drawers here. And I wondered about if I had to, I could have ripped this down to 2.5 or 3 inches, but they're still, my drawer is going to go all the way to the floor. They're going to be roughly 9.5 inches tall or deep. Um, so they're going to be fine. And on the panel, it's going to be a shiplap look. And then up here, it's only going to be one section of shiplap. It's actually a 1x8 with some rail. I need to make the rail also. And I'm not just putting 1x4s, but I'm going to laminate a few 1x4s together, and which makes it completely strong. It's over this span of 70 something inches. It's going to be super strong. So anyway, I'm going to go cut some joists. Here's a special note, people. Do not use 16-inch centers. Don't just automatically use 16-inch centers. What you do, I'll start on this one because I could hook it over the left edge of that one to the left edge of your last one. That's 76 inches. So take 76 inches and divide that by 3. And that's kind of a large span. Divided by 4, it's still kind of large. So I divided it by 5, which gives me 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The answer was 15 1/4. So I've got 15 1/4 to here. I got 15 1/4 to here, which makes this 30 1/2, which makes this 45 3/4 and 61. They're all the same. You don't need 16-inch centers, but you do, even though it's all going to be covered, it doesn't matter what you do. But for something, especially if it's going to be visible anywhere to anyone ever, equal proportionate spacing matters more than 16-inch centers. If you're framing a house and you're going to put sheets of plywood or drywall on it, yes, you want 16-inch centers. Half-inch plywood on the tops. I typically go 3/4 inch plywood, but half-inch is not going to hurt. It's not going to bend or flex or anything. And then I'm putting 1/4 inch plywood up underneath, and I'm gluing it on. Anyway, little something from me to you. Nobody talks about that. I talk about that. That's what I get. That's what you get from being here. So I'm getting the plywood down on top of the deck. I've already done my preparation here for the drawers, and we agreed we're going to have two sets of drawers on either side. And I thought I would take it upon myself to break this up into 3 equal spaces in case they put a little nightstand or something here, a little table or something. I don't want the drawer to be blocked by that table. So if I have 3 equal spaces, I think that's going to be a decent look. But anyway, as I'm putting this plywood down, I wanted to show what my process is. And I've got my Loctite PL375 heavy duty construction adhesive. This stuff works really well. It comes out kind of liquid, not too liquid, but it's not like crazy firm. I'm very happy with this. And I just put a thin bead. It's not, it's gonna, very nice. Put this level in here to keep the plywood from falling. So now that can fall while I put this away. I put some tape on the wall. To show me where my joists are. That's it. That looks pretty good. solid. And when that adhesive grabs it, it's going to be solid as a rock, no squeaks. The next step is to put the 1/4 inch plywood up underneath. Okay, so we got the bunk beds at the job site basically finished, but we still need the ladder, and I'm working on the ladder now. You can see the rungs here. I've got my 2 rails for my ladder, for one ladder, because there's going to be 2 ladders. I line them up on the end. I know that the rungs need to be 12 1/4 inch on center. I've got this a little beyond that. I've got the center of this one, the top of this one, to be 14. But I'm going to get it in position, and in case the floor is out of level at all, I want to be able to scribe these and cut them to fit the floor. So I'm going to run the bottom wild and the top wild right now also. But I put little marks on here at 12 1/4 inches and transferred those marks. Left my vacuum at the job because of the sanding. I'm going to do a little more sanding. I left the vacuum at the job, so I don't have the vacuum for this. And the vacuum makes all the difference in the world, because you'll see when I do this, it leaves quite a mess, and you realize how wonderful that vacuum is. So I'm going to line this part, the bottom plate, up with that mark that I have. So let's do it. Let me get it here, fire it up, get it right on that mark. I'm going to push down on the handle. And look at all that mess. And there's still more inside there. Anyway, the vacuum is worth every penny, and it really helps the operation. So I'm going to do 4 more and keep it running and go through. So here, now you see nice clean holes, consistent with the mark. So our next step is going to be to glue those loose tenons into place. I got my 2 rails and everything looks good. Here's my glue and my bowl. So now we can take some of these, 5 of them, Will, what's up? Yeah. Okay, I saved it, but wow, now I need a wet rag. Okay, here we are. Everything is complete except for the paint, and the painter is on his way right now. We got the rails up top, we got the ladders in place, the drawers are in the other room, These top rails are solid maple, 1 inch thick by 3 inches. And honestly, they still have a little bit of bounce to them. Next time I'm gonna laminate 2 poplar 1x4s together, because I've done that in the past and that makes for a rock solid board that has a little length to it. But you see how the mattress will fit deep down inside, not too deep, but like 3 inches deep. We have 3 equal spaces when these 2 drawers are installed. We'll take a look after the paint's over. So now one final thing for me to do before the painter gets to it is I need to make a recess in the drawer fronts for these recessed pulls, which are going to be very nice. They're not protruding, so no one's going to catch their leg or anything on the pull that's underneath the bed. So anyway, here's what we went with, and I'll show you how I made the little recess. I made this jig that is essentially the same size as this top section. The owner wanted a shiplap look, so we have some shiplap involved. And you can see this is a whole piece of shiplap with the top lip ripped off. And this dimension matches the pull exactly. Fits right in there nicely. And I put a little lip on here so I could just place this on there and keep everything consistent between all 4 drawers. The lip is also centered on the hole. If I keep my reveals the same, I can set it up and clamp it down. I've got 2 router bits, same type of bits, straight cutting bits with a bearing. So the first one only cuts about half the depth, and the second one is dialed in to the correct depth that I need for the final depth. Turn it off before I move it. And I could use a little more removal in this corner. Much better. Nice and clean. It's wonderfully clean. And that fits in there perfectly. And after the painter's finished, I'll drop these in. Here we are now, folks, with the final reveal. Painter's all done. Look at that. That is nice. All white on white to match existing trim and doors and base. Very nice. Lights are on dimmers. There's a light fixture with a switch on a dimmer and a receptacle for your phone or your what have you, one for each bed. Drawer hardware is a recessed flush mount, so there's no knobs catching on anybody's legs or dresses or socks or anything. Drawers are roughly 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep. Look at all the storage. Ladders are separated from the bunk. Poplar rails and maple rungs, maple rails up here on the bed for protection. That turned out very nice. All we need now is some mattresses and bedding, and we're on to the next one.